Ty, welcome back to day 2 of our 3-day CoachCon challenge, helping coaches build their business with what I consider the playbook that you and I have done successfully in our almost 3 decades of being in business.
That's right. Even though we're only 35, Charlene.
Hey, man, I am 21, never been kissed yet. You know what I mean?
Really, these are proven strategies that not just worked for us, but also based on our experience as coaches, a lot of other businesses, we've been able to work with them on manifesting some of these and learning from their failures on it as well. So these are tried and proven methodologies, and we're glad to share them with you.
And guys, when you think about your coaching business, I know many of you will walk into this idea of I don't like sales. I don't know how to sell. I've never had to sell. I don't want to do sales. And Ty, you and I have heard that time and time again as we're coaching clients, but sales is a part of the business.
A lot of people will tell you that they don't like sales, right? You hear it all the time. I don't like sales. I am not a salesperson. However, I'm a good storyteller. I'm a
Mm,
adder. I'm a good solutions oriented person, problem solver. Like if you just do a small paradigm shift away from sales as in selling somebody something they don't want or convincing somebody to buy something they don't necessarily know about, and move it into solving a problem that somebody has, filling a gap that somebody needs filled, really telling a story about what's worked for you and inspiring somebody to take on something that you can provide for them. That's sales.
mm. And this is where we start, guys. When you look at your current business, maybe some of you have 1 or 2 clients. Excellent. And maybe some of you have no clients. And maybe some of you are trying to, what I consider, increase your price of your coaching business. So many of you are going to benefit from this conversation today because we're going to start off with understanding what a customer sales journey looks like. This is how you're going to mimic it. So if you're taking notes or if you're watching this replay or you're going to watch this over and over again because this is the most important live you've been to, then we've done our job because our goal is to take you through what we do ourselves so that you can mimic what is successful. All right. So let's talk about the journey of the customer and what that looks like, Ty, because I know when you're coaching your clients, they always will come to you like, I want to increase my price. What price do I charge? How do I get them to get hooked into maybe an offer or an email campaign? And they want to hear all these things because they see all the gurus online tell them they need this. And I don't think that serves them.
So there are three components, right, to looking at the journey of the sales cycle. The first one is understanding what your product service outcome means to somebody else. When you're selling a product or service, you have to not sell the features. You don't have to sell the methodology. Nobody cares about the process. They want to know the outcome. How does it make them feel? What do they get for it? How much time is saved? How much money is earned? Like, what is the outcome and the intended consequence of using your product or service, right? So what is the value proposition for your product, the value promise for the product or service that you're offering these clients? And so you want to make sure that you can articulate the transformation for yourself, that you have maybe some testimonials, and that you can really demonstrate why your product or service is the thing that's going to help this person with the outcome that they would like to achieve. Number one. Number two, the decision making cycle of the customer. Customers make decisions on know, like, trust, then they buy, right? So if you can't establish the know, so that's awareness, like with your product or service, visibility, recognition, top of mind awareness. Like, okay, I've seen you now a few times. I like what you're saying. I feel into it. It connects with me. I like what you're saying. And then trust. Okay, other people have talked about you. I see referrals. I see reviews. You have other people that talk about your product or service online. So I now trust that you can deliver what you say you can deliver. You have testimonials, etc. Then I'll buy, right? So it's mastering the know, like, and trust cycle. And then making sure that your product or service is high touch. Your product or service is something that feels custom and curated. It feels like you're talking to Charlene. It feels like you're talking one-on-one, and not just, oh, you're just another cog in, you're just another number, you're just another sale, you're another USB, another SKU. Like, you want to make sure that everybody leaves there with that ability to feel special, that feeling like this was the best thing that I just engaged with. And if you can master the scope of all of that stuff, well, a sale is guaranteed.
Right. Now, guys, remember the whole journey has to be about them and not you. This is where I even look at what does your website say? What does your marketing campaign say? What do you say? Are you talking about how amazing and awesome you are? Or are you talking about the results, the transformation promise that Ty keeps talking about every single time we get together? Because it's about them. The sales cycle is successful to close them because it's about them and not you.
And people know when it's more about you, when it's, and don't get me wrong, there's some people that works for the glamorous looks, the lifestyle. You see the folks on the yachts and the boats, and they're always flashy, and the photos are the brightest and the shiniest. There are people who sit at home and are inspired by that, so they'll buy a product or service to be in that person's orbit, to be connected to that world, because they think that they can get there. But it might be it's usually a once-off product. It's not a recurring product. It's not something that's going to bring you transformation, because those people don't want a transformation. They just want to be immersed in that lifestyle. The true believers want to have that cycle that we just talked about. And they want to know that your product can help them transform into something. And then they want to know that they can do that over and over again.
Wow. And this is where we're going to talk about some closing techniques, because you have to understand that sometimes you're going to get a no. Sometimes you're going to get, I need to talk to my spouse. Sometimes you're going to get someone who says, do you have a payment plan? Right? So we're going to come up with all of these objections throughout our training today, so that you can see that when you walk through a sales process, that we're going to give you the tools so that you can get them through that customer journey. And Ty, one of the things that I love is that closing is, it has been sometimes perceived negatively, right? No one wants to be closed, but that's when the deal starts, is when you get a yes. What does that process even look like? And so we're going to talk about some clients that we coach. We're going to talk about some instances that we see what the proven closing techniques works for coaches, especially coaches where you're not selling anything tangible. You're selling a very intangible solution to their problem.
So in the coaching world, we've identified a few techniques here on this slide, and there are tons of them, right? There's a one called close, there's a consultative sell. These are all different techniques. The ones we're going to share with you now are just ones that, because we want to give you tangible takeaways, right? We don't like fluff. The reason that we're here, the reason that we're doing this, and the reason that we're different from other coaches is because we're not leaving you with a teaser or a little bit. We want to give you the substance that you need, because we want you to come to our community and get more of that substance. We want you to visit CoachCon. We want you to see that just like we're delivering this, all of our speakers will give you actual, tangible products and techniques and services that you can use, take away, and implement in your business for success. So the techniques you have on here, number one, the value summary close. Now, the value summary close is just really, really focusing on the benefits and the transformation. It's what I just said, right? Selling the outcome, less about the features and the services that are involved. It's making sure that you are identifying what that person specifically needs throughout the conversation prior to the close, and repeating the words that they've given you. We used to do this in the tech world as well, asking people, well, what's a major problem that you have? And going layers and layers and layers deep and finding out, okay, that's a surface problem. That's a better problem. Give me another problem. But then you find that core problem, right? And you do this in coaching as well. Like, what is the thing you're trying to solve for? And then you move on to the solution. Okay, what if, and this is where your genius as a coach comes in, like, what is the solution to that problem? You offer them the solution. But it's not so much having a solution. It's having a solution people are willing to pay for, right? How do you determine that they'll pay for it? Well, what is the cost of that problem to you right now? What is the cost of the problem that you're engaging? Is it holding you back? Are you not getting a clear advancement? Is your business losing revenue? Are you stagnant on sales yourself? Like, what is the cost of the problem that you're facing? And if I give you the solution and I tell you I can close that cost gap, I can solve that problem for you, what is it worth to you? Is that worth everything that we're doing today? So you figure out what the problem is, you identify the solution, you get to the pain point of pricing, and then you offer them the pitch. Once you offer them the pitch and you show them how their life could be different after the program, after the coaching engagement that you have, that's how you make the sale. How can they say no? You're literally creating a problem that it's costing them money or taking money out of their budget right now, and you're doing it through your coaching program. And all they have to do is pay that nominal fee to go through that process, to come out on the outcome and close that gap. That's the value summary close.
Wow. Well, I love that. And the next close is the question close. And this is where you're listening more than talking. When you respond with, well, I do this, I do that, that puts you as the person in control. What you want to do is put your customer in control of the decision to say yes to you, because they feel empowered by the questions and the listening you do. Ty, this is what I consider the most strategic sale of them all, because a lot of times when you get nervous in the middle of the close, some of you guys will overshare, oversell, overwhelm. And then what happens is that person retreats. They pull back and go, I must not be ready. I must not be smart enough to make this decision. I can't make this decision as a business owner. And so what happens is you end up chasing your sale away.
One of the keys to this particular close, everyone, is what's called the pregnant pause, right? The pregnant pause.
You know, Ty, you have never, let me just say this out loud for all of our female coaches out there. Ty is amazing and wonderful. He does not mean it that way, my friends. I can tell you that.
If you Google the pregnant pause, it's a very, very common term and phrase that's used. And all it means is that extended pause, right? That's that period of silence that you ask the question and you pause, you wait, you give enough breathing room and space on the call for people to think about the answer, think about what you've just asked, contemplate what it means to them. As you just said, Shar, people tend to rush in because they don't like silence, right? And when there's silence, they then overtalk and they talk and they talk and then they talk themselves out of a sale. But if you master the art of the pregnant pause, if you master the art of that moment of silence, and you sit there after you ask a very poignant and profound question, you're going to get the answer you want. You're going to get that person stopping and thinking and doing the sale for you, because they now understand and they can reflect on, that's right. That really means, yeah, absolutely. What am I waiting on? Like, they then start questioning themselves and they start doing the talking, and then we get to the close.
Right. Powerful. Assumption close. Oh, this is my favorite, guys. You have to understand, when people push away and they don't want to do sales, I say, you know what, then you can't serve. You've got to take that idea that selling is such an ugly feeling, icky feeling, the used car salesman. And I've switched it in my 25-year career to I'm serving you. And in order for me to serve you, we have to have a relationship that you allow me to serve you so I can help you solve that problem. This is my most favorite close of them all. And Ty, let me just tell you a quick story. So the assumptive close, guys, is meaning that you're doing two things. The person is closing themselves through the entire sales process. They're the one saying, yes, I need this. Yes, I need this. Yes, I need this. This is the reason why sometimes you guys hear funnels or putting them through, a discovery call to then get to the next step of write your pitch and all that. That's all a part of it. The reason why this is my favorite is because this all depends on you and your belief of what you are serving them with. Has nothing to do with the customer in front of you. This is 100%, Ty, and you know this. It is all about you as the coach. How much do you believe in what you're selling that you would be actually buying it?
Yeah, you have to go in there with confidence. You have to go in there with assurance. They're feeding off of you. If you waffle or wobble, if you have any sort of insecurity, if you're not sure, remember, you're asking these guys to trust you. You're asking these people to be mentored by you. They want to know that they're stepping in to a place where they feel safe, they feel comfortable, that they're going to get the answers to the questions that they have. You have to exhibit that all the way through the sales cycle before you can even get to the delivery cycle. Even if you don't like sales, you have to, as they say, fake it till you make it. And that is because people will feed off of your energy. They will know if you're in doubt, they're going to be in doubt. But if you're confident, if you're sure, they're gonna lean into that. And that's what you have to pray all the way through.
So guys, we're going to just cut to the chase. If you're not closed on your own business, if you don't believe in your business, if you don't believe in who you are and what you can do, then I really want you to take a step back, because then what's going to happen is you're going to get so many missed opportunities. And so you have to really, what I do an introspective approach to understanding that first before you get yourself into a place where you're wondering, why am I not closing? It's not going to serve you. It's not going to help you if we don't tell you today, you need to move past this and you need to get through it. Maybe it's your idea about money. Maybe it's your commitment with relationships. I don't know. All of us have had to unpack that. Ty, I remember you saying mindset. I remember you saying doing the work, right? This is a part of the close.
Yeah. You have to go into that close before you get to you have to go into the call before you get on the call, already having the close done. In your mind, the call's just a formality. It's just a process. You have to go in there saying, I am going to make sure that I add enough value and give this person enough a substance that they realize that this is what they've been missing, and then they're going to automatically close. But I already know that this is a close because I know this person and I know what they need and I know that I can deliver it.
All right, guys. So here's where it can be a very slippery downhill failure. And Ty, when we're talking about the urgency part of the sale, this can sometimes be the failure of everything else working. And then this is where the sale stops. So what happens in this moment?
So you can have all the mechanics like we just talked about the last slide. You can have all that stuff nailed and ready to go. And the thing is that we now live in a world where people are a little bit more sensitive, right? You're not the only coach doing this. You're not the only call that's being made. You're not the only DM they're receiving. So people are getting a little savvy. You know, when you touch the stove and you get burned, and you touch the stove and you're not going to touch it too many more times before you realize it's going to elicit a burn feeling, right? So think about that from your consumer. Your consumer has gotten on a call before. They've gotten talked through this before. They've gotten DMs before. So they've been through this, right? So they've also gotten a little savvy, and you have to match their savvy with your savvy. This is why there are different strategies once you've got the buy-in, once you feel like you've made the sale, to actually cross the hump, to get over the one of those is the now or never close, right? Making sure that you're pushing a sense of urgency. We're doing this with CoachCon. We're kind of saying to everybody, okay, we're doing specials, we're doing bonuses, we're doing things to get people in the door early so we can get that momentum up. We can get people involved. We can start the conversation. We can see the engagement and activity, and they're going to bring more people, and more people will come in. And suddenly we'll have hundreds of people at CoachCon because we went in there and we delivered that sense of urgency, that benefit to being one of the first movers, the early adopters, that invitation to come join us early and show everyone else that they can join us too.
And guys, when you're doing this part of the urgency and unique value, one of the big things is you need to ask better questions up front during that discovery period. For example, if you're saying, let's say you're a trauma coach, and this person's like, hey, I've got to, work on some things. You want to ask questions that actually help you identify, is this something today, tomorrow, next year that you want to deal with? Because if you can say, well, you need to get through your trauma. Why? What's going on? Well, I just know that, my children and my relationship with them is really hurting because I'm not able to connect with them. Oh, okay. So is that something that, you want to change now? Or is that something that you want to wait, next month to do? No, I want to do it now. Oh, okay. Because they will tell you the answer of how urgent this is for them. Right, Ty?
Yeah, and that kind of leads to the last point on this slide. This whole concept of urgency, there's one question that works in every sales tactic, which is, if you didn't do this right now, if you didn't do this today, and you came back to me in 6 months, what would be different? What would be different between now and 6 months from now? Would you have taken any other action? Would you have gotten involved in anything else? Would your situation be changed? And the answer is usually no. If you take no action between now and 6 months, you would likely be worse off or in a worse position or continuing to lose whatever funds or money you have, as opposed to rectifying the problem now. So why not rectify it now and get all that additional revenue that you could get in the next 6 months, and coming back in 6 months and saying, oh, can we try this again? So ask that question. If not today and you come back in 6 months, what's going to be different?
Now, this is the part that no one likes, right? No one wants to be told no, because you have the courage just to get on a sales call. Ty, I think you and I have been through enough no's to know objections are just part of the sales process. It's just part of either not now or, hey, we're going to, keep nurturing you in the funnel so that when you are ready to say yes, that we're ready. But objections are a part of what I consider your fault. You did not deal with the objections upfront in the funnel. So this is the reason why you're dealing with it at the close.
No's are part of the process, Shar. If you don't have a no and you're just sailing through to a yes, well, that's a great thing for everybody. You won't have practice to refine your product, to refine your messaging, to refine your positioning. No's help us make the product a lot better and make sure we communicate it most effectively to the avatar that we're seeking. So we like no's. We want to embrace no's. We want to lean into no's, because no's kind of give us that tough skin, right? That steel exterior that we can then say, you know what, I'm resistant to a no. And if a no is a no, it's great. I'm not going to push you. I'm not going to force you to do it. You gave me a no. I respect that. So, but understanding that sometimes a no isn't that person consciously saying no. Sometimes a no is that person unconsciously having to deal with an issue that they have that they haven't dealt with, that they're unaware of. And as a result, a no is your opportunity to really reshape a paradigm for them that gets them to a yes. Right. So this is the part of sales that people hate. They like, I don't like to get a lot of no's, or I don't like to have to hard sell anybody. Never hard sell anybody. However, make sure that the no that you are getting isn't a no for the sake of no, but rather, a no that somebody genuinely actually like doesn't need your product or service. But if it's a no that's not for the sake of no, and you can reshape or reframe or shift the paradigm where that no might actually be a yes because they don't understand the positioning piece, or they don't understand the value proposition, or they don't understand the extra byproduct of what this will do for them. Those are the things you have to communicate, and those are the objections, right? And this slide does a great job of explaining to you what those objections are. But really and truly, the key pillars here are: figure out, practice your no's, anticipate what those no's are going to be, take note of the objections that you're getting, refine your responses to those objections, test it out on new people, make sure that it's hitting the mark, and then face your new clients with them. Make sure that you're listening and that you're not just hearing. Difference with hearing and listening is hearing, it just comes in one ear and out the other. Listening is that comes in one ear, you process it, it turns the wheels, and then you have a better understanding of what it means, and then it goes out the other. So it's making sure that you're actively listening to what the customers are saying, you're taking on their feedback, you're refining your product or service, your messaging, your positioning, and then you're giving a new message, a new communication style, a new piece of content as a result of it. Third thing, validate and reframe. This is, if I understand what you're saying this. Am I right? Do I have that clearly? That's just you making sure that what they're telling you, you're able to process and give it back to them. Make sure that you're on the same page so you can then address or reframe. It might be where Shar says, I don't think I can afford that. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that right now you're overwhelmed, you have a lot of things going on, you don't know if you can allocate the funds necessary for this. Is that right? And then you can say, but let me ask you a question. Like, what do you spend your money on now? Are you spending your money on anything that you could potentially redirect into this, since this will give you the money in the long term that you're missing right now in your revenue? So that opportunity to first reframe or validate what they're saying, and then reframe it in a way that they do understand that this is a good decision for them. And then the last thing being provide evidence and assurance. This is where we have the know, like, and trust cycle, right? We have to build trust here. Trust comes from other people. Trust comes from making sure that you can say, I've helped X number of people. I've enrolled this number of clients in my program. I've had this much outcome. I've seen this much actual tangible revenue dollars. Here's my Google reviews. Like, show people exactly how successful you've been, and then interpret it in a way that it can be successful to them. So if you do this and you follow the model that I've just showed you, or you actually just mimic what Charlene experienced in my program, you should receive this. You should expect this. Your outcome should be this. And I assure you, like, if you just do the work and you commit to the process, we can be successful together.
And I love that, Ty, because that's really the perfect segue into storytelling. This is where the story will sell you. The story will help you navigate through to be able to touch the emotion, touch the brain that's making the decision. Remember, guys, two things are working simultaneously in the person that you're selling. It's if they logically make sense and emotionally feel good about it. And that's where Ty is a master at story selling.
Storytelling is, I love storytelling. And what I tell people with storytelling too is write your story out, right? You don't have to ad lib. I like to write a story. I've written out my story and I've perfected it by telling it over and over and over again. But when you have the story kind of written out and you've had it laid out and you know what it is, and then you can ad lib pieces of it, or you can extract components of it, you can share with the world the value you can provide, and keep adding more and more stories. The more people you serve, the more stories you have. But storytelling is a great way to disarm people, right? It's no longer you saying, okay, what do you need? Here's what I have. It's not that. It's you just sharing a piece of your life. And if you can do it with a little bit of authenticity, with vulnerability, that's when people connect. When people feel like you're exposing yourself or you're giving them something of value that they didn't expect, that's when they're going to lean in and be more endearing. And then they're going to make that relationship connection. And then we're going to accelerate the know, like, and trust process. Now, I'm not saying be manipulative and use your stories for a sale. But stories help you as well get out of that mindset of I'm selling something and rather I'm sharing value. And once you're sharing value and people are receiving value, naturally sales will occur.
Well, and guys, you have to understand when someone is storytelling, they're making sure that they're putting their prospect in the story. You're creating the journey for your prospect to say, okay, I can connect with this person. They understand what I'm going through. They know what it's going to take for me to overcome whatever barrier, whatever issue, whatever that you promised that they're going to do, the transformation. Because that outcome, there always has to be a hero and a villain in the story. And a lot of times the hero is the person, the villain is the barrier. And that's the reason why they're working with you as a coach, because you're helping them become the hero in their story.
Yeah, you are helping them slay that villain,
Mm-hmm.
and win the prize on the other side of that wall. Whatever that barrier is, it could be Rapunzel, it could be $10 million, like whatever that thing is on the other side of the wall. You are the fairy godmother that's helping the hero break through the villain.
Yes, it really is, guys. Now, as we tell you this, there's going to be some homework for you to do. Obviously, in our challenge, we're gonna announce that you're in the Facebook group. You're doing everything that you need to. But here's the thing: closing the deal is going to what we call require you to practice. So, as you know, this is a second day of a challenge, and we want you to go ahead and comment inside of the Facebook group. What is the one tip you did today that you're going to practice as a part of your closing strategy? Just so that we know that we're doing our part, Ty, because I know people are coming in and out of our live and they're like, oh my gosh, I got to write these. We know you might feel really excited, or maybe you're on your phone, just kind of like working still on the side. And we want to challenge you to write down one of the tips that we've shared today that you're going to commit to practice in your close. So let's talk about this. The essential tips for coaches that need to know on how to close. Ty, this has been one of the biggest turning point in my career. I know when I was being coached, and I still have a coach, guys. I still have a coach. I'm still a part of what I'm coaching you guys on, because in order for me to be good, I have to have those smarter people around me who know what to do so I can get there. But closing tips, guys, is practice. Ty, what is it about these closing tips that you think would help our audience today in their coaching business?
I think that these are closing tips that you should live. You don't wait to make the sale. Like when you're cashing out at the cashier, practice this. For example, two-way communication, right? Ask somebody, so how was your day? You're swiping a bag of carrots. Like, have you ever tried these carrots? What do you think? Like, what's a great recipe you think? Like, have that dialogue, practice that two-way communication, and do it, in throughout your life. So then sales doesn't become a thing you have to do, but a way you have to live. When you're looking at things like focusing on problem solving, again, we talked about it before, like what would this problem do for your life? Would it save you money? Would it get you more visibility? Would it give you more context? Like, what would this do? And what would that mean for you once it's done, right? So making sure that you're consciously and intentionally engaging these things throughout your life or throughout your daily activities, and then you're really making sure that you embody it, and it's not just an activity that you're dreading or you don't want to do, or you feel like you're not necessarily skilled at. The other ones at the bottom, sort of targeting decision makers, just making sure that you're asking that question: is there anybody else who needs to be involved in this conversation? For example, if somebody has a spouse, selling to a company and the CEO is the final decision maker. You want to be the person that communicate with the both decision makers, because you tell the story best. Having to wait for somebody to translate to somebody else, like this is what they mean and this is what they've said, you're 9 times out of 10 you don't make the sale that way, because that person cannot do as great of a job as you can do communicating that information. And then the last one is leveraging referrals. When somebody's gone through your program, when somebody's experienced you, they don't even have to go through your program. If you guys have come on this live and you've seen me deliver content, you've seen Shar deliver content, we've done over and over and over, week after week, you feel fairly confident that we kind of know a little bit about what we're talking about, right? And so you now might be in a position to say, you know what? I've been watching these guys for the past 3 or 4 weeks, and they're really cool. They're really spot on. Why don't you come watch it with me? I'm going to send you the link. You can watch it too. If you like it, let's go together. Let's go to CoachCon together. And so you can then find that opportunity, find that way to say, okay, refer people into, have your clients and your audience refer people into you.
Well, and guys, this is a process. So I want to kind of give you, as you look at this challenge, we really want to pour into you all the value of what we've done and what we've experienced. But we want you to remember one thing. This is going to be a process, right? We have failed more than we have won deals. We just win more deals now because we failed so much in the beginning. So don't worry because you're thinking, well, I'm not going to be like them. I'm not that. We get it. We've been there. Ty and I have seen it all. But we just want you to know that this challenge is so that you have a safe place to come to and say, hey, I've done this, or hey, I'm struggling with this, or it just seems like I'm not connecting with my audience. Like, what do I need to do in order for the close to happen? We get it. We understand. We hear you. So connect with us, engage with us in the Facebook group so that we can help answer those questions. Because these are questions, guys, that even the gurus don't stop to answer because they don't want you to know how they close you. And we're opening our playbook so that you can find out how we do it.
So guys, you might have noticed I have on my bright pink in my sea of gray today. And that is because we wanted to make sure that you knew what all of this points to. And this all points to CoachCon. We are hosting a 2-day conference on September 16th and 17th. It's CoachCon. The website is www.coachcon.global. And during this, you will have 6 speakers, some networking events, a great opportunity to connect with other coaches and business leaders like yourself who are going to spend 8 hours each day with us going through specific content on how they can transform their business, accelerate their marketing, really hone in on their customer, get through with burnout. All of these topics, these speakers have come from far and wide. They're all super experts in their craft, and they're delivering all of this for you. But more than that, as a coach, you get to bring your client, bring your audience, bring your prospects, bring your employees, bring whoever you want to bring. And after every session, speaking with our speakers, you get your own private breakout room to work with your group one-on-one and make sure everybody's digesting that information, they're building an action plan, they're getting the transformation, and that you are influencing their outcome. And you do that session after session after session after session. So we want you to come join us on September 16th and 17th. We have designed this for you. It is our first one. We want you to come in the door, visit www.coachcon.global. It is where we want you to be. And this is all for you. This is all going to help you build your clients up for their success, build your employees up for their success, and really transform your coaching business.
Oh, so exciting, guys. So tomorrow is day 3. This is our last day of the challenge. And I'm going to just change it up a little bit for you so that tomorrow you understand is going to be an open office Q&A. We're going to talk about some real case studies. We're going to talk about some real problems that we have seen in the coaching business. So you've had day 1 and day 2 now, and a lot of you are going, well, I have all these things I have problems with. We want you to bring those questions to day 3. We want you to be in our Facebook group. We want you to connect, and we want to use this time to help you be successful. So Ty, as usual, thank you for bringing it home for us. I mean, wow, what a day of amazing truth bombs that you dropped today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shar. It's been amazing. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.